I think first of all, I've been really lucky because I've had a very rich career over many organisations. My first leadership role was at 25. I was the head of HR, reporting into the CEO for Guy Salmon Alamo Car Rental. Then after that, for the next 10 years, where I really cut my teeth in HR, in leadership roles, learning the ropes in great environments with the Sainsbury and Homebase Group. And then with American Express. And I went in to become the HR director of two divisions there for Europe, their corporate commercial card business and also their corporate travel business. The sort of second half of my career was more into a combination of interim and also going in to help businesses, sometimes on a permanent basis for 2 to 3 years through change. So I think the formative, companies in that time, I went in and for 3 years helped the Mosaic Group. I then went on to help other industries, so Camelot, their relicensing of the National Lottery. I helped with the Northern Rock after its collapse and reorganisation of its retail banking and mortgage operations. And then I also sort of went on to help work in Biofarm, also worked with MacArthur Glen, and most recently sort of supported New Look through transformation and a turnaround, a tough turnaround, and then very recently this year I've been mentoring several sort of people across the world of HR, including with businesses like the Co-op, Pets at Home. My career has been sort of heavily punctuated by reorganisation, transformation, evolution. So it's been sort of in those sort of three settings really. From a growth perspective, high activity in mergers and acquisitions, also digital has very dominantly featured, so often helping organisations put in their first both e-commerce functions and also growing their digital presence as well. And I think probably one of the things that has really defined me is the ability of going in and helping businesses, whether they're trying to grow, whether they're transforming, or whether they're in distress, and from A to Z and from up to down, really looking at how can we drive a better organisation, how can we carve it out in the right way, how can we support the business to achieve growth, but also what do we need to do, sometimes in difficult circumstances, to really turn the mothership around and drive profitability. Stepping into my first CPO role was a mixture of the anxiety of the responsibility you've just taken on, and realising the enormity of that, coupled with absolute excitement, because for the first time you've suddenly got this opportunity to really wrap your arms around the business and really looking at how you can take forward both the organisation's effectiveness and also to really build a business and to help improve it, build it, whatever the circumstances of building something that would be, one of the world's best. So I think the things that I think were really critical in cementing that role and really sort of getting my feet under the table was sort of having a really strong, doing that organisational review, really understanding the business, absolutely getting involved, spending time working, understanding all the corners of the business. As a CPO, you've really got to raise your game in terms of stakeholder relations, understanding businesses internal and external as well. How you lead the team, because I think when you're going in there, whilst the business is still going, a lot of things pause. And I think from an HR perspective, a lot of things do pause. The team sort of pauses because it's waiting for you to sort of say, right, what direction should we take? So that's really critical. And I think the other area was around sort of information, data, insight. So, what is the organisation health? And influencing just becomes such a big, influencing with a capital I, because you're both having to often go into roles, in my case, where they might be the first HR leadership roles at the top table that they've experienced. You're carving out sort of strategy, but you're also having to influence the hearts hearts of minds of people that haven't been used to people being in that sort of discussion at that level. And so who are going to be your go-tos that you can trust, and that will also be really knowledgeable, both internally and externally as well. Well, in my case, I was really lucky because I worked with, in particular, two businesses that were early adopters of mentoring. When I went into my first CPO role, because I knew that I had this gap in knowledge of the industry, in the fashion industry, and if I was to be able to partner this business to develop a really compelling employer and talent proposition, I needed to know what how the industry rocked in what was a very close knit, very creative, sometimes temperamental industry. And so I met this wonderful woman who absolutely just, we would meet for breakfast once a month for the first 6 months, and she would give me a 1.5 hour masterclass of everything to do with fashion related retail. The other mentor I got through that particular role was a senior HR mentor. How it helped then was in having somebody that was a go-to, because I think at the end of the day you have got a position of responsibility, there's a lot of expectation on you, and I think for me it was particularly going to stress test ideas, strategies, structures for new solutions, and to really think those through before I was then sort of going in to present that into the business. And that really helped me to expand, and make sure that I was covering all the bases, but also actually then preparing for how I was going to present those ideas, particularly into a business that wasn't used to operating at that level. There was another time I had a mentor. It was at a time when I was in American Express. I had 2 young kids. It was in an era where actually you didn't have all of the flexibility in the world to be able to, to take where you could go into work. So that was a really important time where I also took a sort of mentor that could really sort of help me through, being brilliant at what I did at work, but also, making sure and helping me to make sure I was sort of balanced, because otherwise I could have definitely just, worked 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. Where can I help most? Everybody that I've helped or led, and mentored have all said, and also their CEOs, if I've been mentoring individuals, they've all said that between the beginning and the end of that sort of chapter, the role of HR, the contribution of the HR function, and the value add into the business has been night and day. I think that's really important, because I think that, HR functions, often have to sort of really, really push water uphill to sort of get the voice, to get the position, to get the role. Some will be there, but in other organisations it's not. So it sometimes has a higher challenge than the average executive around the same table. I think absolutely the strategic capability, the ability to look at what are the business ambitions, to understand the business, and then to say, how are we going to do it? How do we affect change really, really well and thoroughly, so that it doesn't just happen today, that actually it sticks and it becomes everlasting, sustainable success for the business? Have this extra muscle of thinking, a little bit that will be different for your own biases and preferences, that really, really helps you to develop the most amazing strategies, the most amazing plans, can also help you through moments of influence and leadership, can help prepare you for the points where you've got to go in and actually lead change, or lead a discussion, or lead a proposal, and I think those are, that's a critical area. I think a game changer for me with those organisations has been how to develop insight, how to bring insight, organisation insight to that table, and the power of insight, particularly when you're going in at a CPO level, so that actually you're able to sort out the emotion from the fact, and actually influence credibly, and actually sort of lead the charge. I laugh a lot. I do laugh. I've got a loud laugh. People sort of say they can hear me at the other end of the room. They know this is in the building. But I think that's really important, because actually it can be tough. And I think that, that is a level where I'll bring energy, but also just, a bit of fun as well to sort of people that I support. I'm informal. I'm very warm. I'm very straight. And so people will get honesty. I'm a critical friend. My style of helping is absolutely to stretch people and to really stretch their capability, stretch their strategies, stretch their approach. But equally, me also bringing in things that, they don't know what they don't know. And so, how can I bring in sort of ideas, strategies, ways to help them, both from my toolkit, my own personal toolkit, but also then, I'm really attuned with what HR is doing generally, what business is doing. For me, it's just such an important relationship where you're a trusted, critical friend, and that somebody can feel that they can come to you either in that moment of need or in a project so that they can really maximise and flourish and excel, and achieve what they want to. I think, first of all, it is the best role in the business. It is the one role that works across all corners, all areas, and all people in the business, which is why I joined the profession. Far more interesting than other roles. I think the best piece of advice that I can give is making sure that as you go in, learn the business, spend time with the business, making sure that your strategy and your plans are really attuned to driving growth, performance, making a difference. Don't go in with your sort of traditional sort of hat of HR. Go in with that business growth mindset, and don't be afraid to also offer ideas and a strategy that might even take the business beyond what they've described as their sort of baseline ambition. And the final bit of advice is make sure you are really, really fostering your relationship with your CEO so that you are a really good partner. If that partnership, to me, that has been everything. That has been the most vital partnership between success and not success. So that you're really, really working in tandem, you're helping each other, but you're helping that individual. And I think those are the ingredients that have most helped me.